Hello, everyone. There was some kind of a technical issue. My live stream that we just did for a couple of hours um, stopped working out of nowhere. It just quit. So that's really weird. So we are having some kind of technical issues. Just super quickly, let me just share this live stream. Yeah, for some reason the live stream crashed out of nowhere. Let's actually super quickly. I'll just post in Discord. The live stream crashed. Here is a new link. There you go. No idea what happened. For some reason the stream just crashed on us. Hopefully we didn't lose everyone. That sucks. That sucks, honestly, because we also lost the chat that we had previously. So that's really unfortunate. Damn it. Well, you know, live streaming. Hello to everyone again. welcome to the stream. We're having some really weird problems here with YouTube. Just a second, guys. I'm still having some issues with the live stream. Okay, there you go. Okay, now I think it should be working. Let's try this. Yes, Nitim, I will get to your question. We have a bit of technical issues here. So let's see. Let's actually remove that. And just a second, guys. One more second. I'm just trying to fix this. Damn it. That sucks. One more time. There you go. Okay, I think we fixed everything. Let me know if you can hear me well. That sucked. Yeah, so okay, let's jump back into the live stream. If you're just joining us, we had some kind of technical issue. The stream just crashed, and we are now back. But we have the comments here. Okay, so before I jump into the next questions in the form, yes, Surjit, I will show you a plug here. So that's actually a very good question, and I actually talked about this in my previous video that I posted on Tuesday. However, just let me show you this really quickly. So the plugs, the electrical plugs that we have in Finland, they're these kind of continental European plugs that have two prongs, like this, and of course, you know, you can buy these from the airport after you arrive to Finland, or for example, if you you know, have a pit stop in any of the European airports, I'm sure, you know, even international airports, you can just buy these. So two prongs. These are the two rounded prongs, so just take this into account. And these work in Finland as well as in many other European countries. However, not in the UK. They have a different system. And of course, since everything, you know, is powered by Bluetooth, by USB nowadays, you know, of course, you can, you know, take all of your, you know, phones, chargers, cables with you, and then just replace your chargers with these ones. And of course, if you have a laptop that has some kind of a charging plug that also then has these prongs that you can change, and they're interchangeable, you can just get yourself an adapter to the Finnish plugs there, and you should be just fine. Cool. All right. Again, sorry. Again, if you just joined us, I'm very sorry. The stream for some reason just crashed. We actually lost most of the people here. You know, if you're just, you know, joining us for the first time, welcome, I guess. My name is Oliver, and on the channel we talk about education and early career development in Finland. And during these live streams, I answer your most burning questions about living, studying, and working in Finland. And how these live streams work normally, unless they crash, is that we have a Google form linked in the description box below. And if you want me to answer your questions live, please post your questions into the Google form, because that allows me to answer all of your questions in in the order that they come in. And also, if you're not a member of our Discord server, there's a link in the live chat right now. In the server, we are building a community of people interested in living, studying, and working in Finland. And I also post updates about upcoming videos and live streams just like this one also into the server. So join if you're interested. All right, let's try to pick this back up. We lost over 50% of 50% of the people, which sucks, but what can you do? Anyway, yeah, so the next question comes from Honey, who comes from India, and Honey is coming to Finland for work, not for school. And the question is, I have around 13 years of experience in India in the software industry. If I search jobs from India, is there any chance of getting a job in Finland, or should I opt for a study place in order to first migrate to Finland and then apply for works from there? Surjit, great question. Actually, no, you guys do not have to fill out the Google form again. Actually, please don't do it because that will mix me up. I have every question from every live stream saved into the form, so I can actually go through them one by one. So I have all of your questions still in the form, so you don't have to repost them. Great question. If you have 13 years of experience in the software industry and you want to apply for jobs in Finland, you can always apply for jobs from India. However, do take into account that getting a residence permit to work in Finland is a very long process. It can take up to a year. And the issue here is that you can usually only start the process after you have a valid job offer on the table from a Finnish company or a company working in Finland, which means that you basically need to first pitch yourself into a Finnish company and make them understand why they should hire you and wait for months for you to come to Finland instead of hiring someone who is already in Finland physically. So that's one of the issues of applying for jobs in Finland from abroad. That's why I also tell a lot of people that if they want to work in Finland, a really great way to do that is to actually get a degree in Finland first, because that way you can actually get a residence permit super easily after you graduate. So there's always a balance here. However, if you already have more than a decade of experience, you should be really good at what you do. And in that case, I would recommend you to start looking for jobs now. And then if you don't get lucky at all in a few months, then I would recommend that you apply for a study place in Finland starting in December when the master's degree studies or applications open. So that would be my tip. Then the next question comes from Ajin Varghese Chako, who comes from India. And Ajin is coming to Finland for work, not for school. And there's a couple of questions here. One, what is the basic education qualification to get a job in Finland? There is no such thing. It always depends on the field, the job, the title, or the position that you want to apply for. And second, how can I come and work in Finland? You basically, as I mentioned just a second ago, you basically need to first apply for jobs in Finland. When you get an offer on the table, then you can apply for a residence permit to work in Finland. And if you get a residence permit to work in Finland, then you can move here to work for the company that gave you the offer. That's basically it. For more information, please refer to the Finnish Immigration Service. Just Google Finnish Immigration Service work permit, and you should find all the information that you need. Then the next question comes from Dylan Paul, who comes from Sri Lanka as well. And Dylan is applying to do his bachelor's in information technology. And the question is, I'm 36 years old. Can I apply for a bachelor's? Yes, you can. There's absolutely no reason why you could not apply for a bachelor's in Finland. We don't have any kind of age restrictions here. And in fact, actually in Finland, a lot of people re-educate themselves even after a long career. For example, my girlfriend has a schoolmate or a classmate at Metropolia University of Applied Sciences, who already has a master's degree in business and has done a long career in business, and now she is changing the field altogether, doing a bachelor's in the healthcare sector. So yeah, absolutely, you can apply, no age restrictions. Then the next question from the form comes from Ekta, who comes from India as well, and Ekta is applying to do her master's in accounting. Accounting. And the question is, I have completed a master's in 2011 from my Saurashtra University in India. And after that, I have continued working in my field. Now I want to get a master's from a Finnish university as well. Can I get admitted to Finland, to any Finnish university? And do I need to have IELTS or PTE language test to do done in order to get admitted? It would be really appreciated to resolve the query. So yeah, absolutely yes, you can absolutely apply to study in Finland to do a second master's degree. Absolutely nothing stopping you from doing that. Having a previous work experience and a previous degree is actually going to be of benefit to you. So you're most likely going to be a very good candidate. Of course, if you have very good grades from your previous masters. In terms of can you get admitted into any Finnish university, not into any university, you have to check the universities that have master's programs in accounting and business administration. For example, Aalto University has a very good master's program in accounting, so I would recommend that you check out Aalto University. It's also my institution from where I've gotten my master's in business. And then in terms of, do you need to do the IELTS or PTA language tests? Yes, you need to do, unless you come from a EU country and you have done a degree in English, or if you come from majority English-speaking countries, there's a specific list, but they're basically the UK, South Africa, US, Canada, Australia, and New Zealand, and a couple of other countries. If you have studied there, you do not have to take any kind of language proficiency tests. However, if you don't come from any of those countries, or if you have not done a English medium degree in Europe, then you have to do language proficiency tests every time. There you go. So hopefully that resolved your query. And then the next question comes from Anurud, too many consonants. Anuruddha Saman Kumara, who comes from Sri Lanka as well. And Anuruddha is applying to any of the universities in Helsinki to do his bachelor's in IT. That's very good. And the question is, how much will it cost for a person to live in Helsinki per month? And should we bring some money for at least for 1 year to survive? If we got a good food delivery job, do we need to purchase a bicycle for delivery purposes? Okay, so a couple of questions here. Let's take the delivery job first. If you get a delivery job, I don't see any reason why you couldn't. You can opt to buy a bicycle, and basically, since you are a sole entrepreneur, you're actually not in a working relationship with the delivery companies. Rather, you're working as an entrepreneur. You have to take care of your modes of transportation on your own. So bicycle, electrical scooter, car, whatever. So that's on your own. That's your task to take care of. Then the question about cost of living per person in Helsinki, around 800 euros per month is really good. You can buy with less. However, the Finnish Immigration Service demands that you have at least 560 euros per month on your bank account, at least for the first year, if you come from outside of the European Union. So, but you basically need to have 6,720 euros, that's 560 times 12, on your account at minimum for the first year of your studies, after which you can then work in order to support yourself financially. Then, let's see. No, Tyler, your question from the form has not come up yet. However, I'm going through these very quickly, so it should come up in a moment. Sidrark is saying, hey Oliver, I finally made it to Helsinki this week, and I must say it exceeded all expectations. Kiitos for all the help. That's awesome to hear. Welcome to Finland. Welcome to Helsinki. I hope you enjoy yourself. Even though this is the first week during the entire summer when we've had really, really heavy wind and rain. The summer this year has been fantastic, so you actually came at the worst possible time. The weather has just turned towards autumn. However, regardless, I hope that you're enjoying. If you have any tips if you want any questions about, furniture, secondhand stuff, getting to know Helsinki, or for example, sightseeing, let me know in the Discord server, either in any of the public channels, or for example in a DM. I'll gladly help you out, just because you brought up that you're in Helsinki right now. That's awesome. Zylord saying, damn, your stream is evolving so nicely. Thank you. That's awesome. I've been trying to do some work here. For example, I was able to get this add-on to Chrome to get all the comments out. That's kind of cool. And then I also did this new screen share. Let me actually get this something here. So I think that this is actually much nicer. I'm here in the top right corner. Wait, here. basically basically here in the top right corner on the screen, so I'm not taking too much space, and I can also take, get your, comments here, which is kind of cool. Nitin Verma, if you post your question into the Google form, it is there, and I'm getting to it as soon as I can. I'm going through these one by one in the order that they come in. So just hold to your seats, and I will get to it in some time. Awesome. By the way, one more thing to Zylord or everyone, I'm trying to get the stream to work so that I could actually get visitors into the stream. For example, we have been talking with Alexi that he would come join as a visitor to my streams, if not every week, every couple of weeks at least. And, we would have a bit more interaction and, answer your questions together. But if you also have some other Finnish YouTubers who are doing educational stuff that you really love, let me know and I will try to invite them as a guest into the live streams. It would be awesome to have people from, all kinds of walks of life coming here, helping you out from their own personal perspective. So just let me know. Anyway, then the next question from the forum comes from Sagar Kanal, who comes from Nepal. And Sagar has not yet decided whether or not he wants to study in Finland, but is interested in a master's in IT, either at Aalto University or the University of Helsinki. First of all, really good schools, both of them. However, there's no faculty in engineering at the University of Helsinki. So unless you want to study data sciences, which the University of Helsinki has, the University of Helsinki is not the right place to go to. Rather, Aalto University would be your number one choice, and also it's the best university in Finland in terms of the education for the IT sector. So University of Helsinki doesn't have a program for you, however Aalto University does have. Then the question is, as per to the rules, non-EU or EEA, that's European Union or European Economic Area, which includes Switzerland, Iceland, the UK nowadays, I guess, and something else. As per to the rules, non-EU and EEA students can generate income legally by working part-time job for 25 hours per week on average. If I have monetized a YouTube channel, would income from that channel be considered illegal? Absolutely not. So this is actually a very good question. So basically, if you work in as an employee in a company and you get salary from there, then you can only work for 25 hours per week on average during the semesters. So that's basically during the autumn semester and spring semester. So the 25 hours is not calculated per each week, but it's rather calculated per semester. So between September and December, you can work 25 hours per week on average. And then between January and early July, you can work 25 hours per week. And this has to do specifically with non-EU and EEA students. EU citizens can work in Finland without any kind of restrictions. So however, if you're an entrepreneur and you get income from those sources, they're completely legit. However, you do have to you have to let the Finnish tax administration know about that income as well, and that will be calculated into your income, which will be taxed. However, there's no restrictions to how much money you can actually make from, for example, YouTube or any kind of online business. However, you have to take into account that actually people ask me about this all the time. Any kind of income that you make while living in Finland, if you work, it's all taxable in Finland. Please take this into account. There might be some countries that have a tax a treaty with Finland where this is not the case, but I have not heard of any where you would be taxed based on another country's tax rate if you are living permanently in Finland. So as a rule of thumb, if you work and generate income in Finland, that income will also be taxed in Finland, regardless of where the income is coming from. So please take this into account. Then the next question from the forum, and actually interesting question here. Niraj Kumar asking, can you make a video based on cutoff marks for master's admission? Interesting question, Niraj. Can you actually let me know in the chat what are cutoff marks? I don't know what this is. So please let me know, just elaborate a bit more. Or for example, Jet Koti, if you know what this is, let me know in the chat. And I might be able to do a video about it. Not sure. Again, I don't know what that is, so it might not be a good topic for me. Yeah. Um, Nitin, you're most welcome. Or I'm not sure if you said thanks, man, for Jylord. Regardless, I'm telling you you're welcome on behalf of someone else as well. Uh, anyway, the next question from the forum comes from Haralabos, who comes from Greece. Welcome to the stream. And Haralabos is still in high school, but is interested in a degree in education, literature, or history. Awesome. And the question is, can I study education in another country and become a teacher in Finland? As a general rule of thumb, no. So if you want to study, again, general rule, there are exceptions here. For example, if you want to teach in a international school in Finland, then you can get a degree from somewhere else. However, if you want to work as a teacher in Finland, you have to have good enough Finnish language skills because in Finland, in public schools, which are basically every single public school because we have a public education system. By law, the education has to be provided to Finnish students in their own native tongue, which is either Finnish or Swedish. So you have to be able to, first of all, fulfill the education criteria. So if you want to become a teacher in Finland, you have to have a master's degree in education, and you need to have the pedagogical skills and education as well. And you need to have a certain level of Finnish language, which is pretty much close to professional proficiency or even native language skills. So as a general rule of thumb, if you study to become a teacher in another country and you want to teach in Finland, then public schools that teach in Finnish, they're not an option. Rather, you would then have to opt to, for example, international schools that teach in English. There's a few of them. And then another case altogether are universities. So of course, if you want to teach at a university, you need to have a PhD or you need to be a PhD student at least. In those cases, it doesn't really matter where you have gotten your education, unless the subject is again taught in Finnish. However, if you want to teach, for example, languages at a university, you don't have to have a PhD in languages. Rather, many of the language educators in universities, they simply have a master's degree in education. However, that is something that I have not looked into that much. But again, as a general rule of thumb, you need to have a eligible educational background, and you need to be able to speak Finnish in order to teach in Finnish public schools. Then actually, Chylor has a very interesting question about kind of referring to what I just said. Is Swedish used in bigger towns like Helsinki or just the border of Sweden? If I started learning Finnish, would I need or should I learn Swedish later? Great question. So as a general rule of thumb, even though Finland has two official languages, Finnish and Swedish, Swedish is still a minority language, so the clear majority of Finnish people do not speak Swedish. It is a mandatory language in school, but there's it's actually the scope of the Swedish language education in school, if you just take the minimal amount, is not that much. And since most people don't use it day to day, that's why the clear majority of Finnish people don't understand a few words, but they don't speak Swedish. So if you want to learn a language to integrate better into the society, learn Finnish. Unless you live in the western border, which is the border that we have with Sweden, you don't really have that much use for Swedish, unless you want to work in a professional setting where Swedish is mandatory, basically. But however, to your question, for example, in Helsinki, again, if you randomly pick up people from the street, 9 out of 10 at minimum do not speak Swedish. So there's not really that much help here. However, of course, if you want to learn Swedish as well, that's perfect. But I would always recommend prioritizing Finnish because that's actually going to be very useful. Jackie just retracted their message. I was just about to answer your question, so unfortunately, just retracted. So okay, I'll move on. Anyway, the next question from the forum comes from Hani Musa, who comes from Egypt as well. And there's actually a relatively relevant question here. Where and when should I buy winter clothes if I'm staying from September to late December in my if I'm staying in Finland from September to late December? In my country, winters are relatively warm, compared to Finland, so I'm having concerns regarding the weather. Don't worry about it. Actually, especially if you're staying in Helsinki, sure, it's going to get cold, so you are going to experience, sub-zero temperatures. In Helsinki in December, it can go, somewhere around minus 20 degrees Celsius. However, usually we don't actually nowadays get that much snow before December, in Helsinki especially. So I would not worry about that too much. Again, as I mentioned in the previous stream, which I have on the channel, which was supposed to be this stream before the stream collapsed, you can buy winter clothing for relatively affordable prices in any major, shopping center. There's plenty of shops everywhere, clothing stores, and of course during the season every clothing store sells winter clothes. So of course depends on what kind of clothing they sell, shoes, jackets, whatever, but they of course they sell clothes for the season. So if you come to Finland in September, don't worry about the winter clothing. Just make sure that you have, just don't make sure that you don't come in shorts and t-shirts. Have, long sleeves and a jacket, and then go shopping for winter clothing once you come into Helsinki. Very easy to find any big shopping center that you go into in Helsinki, no problem. Nitin Verma asking, Oliver, suppose I'm working as a freelancer and working for clients. Are taxes taken out or not? Yes, they are. If you work as a freelancer, you have to set up a company, and then your company's income will be taxed based on the type of a company that you have. But as a general rule of thumb, all kinds of income in Finland is taxed. However, the way and how much they're taxed depends on what kind of work it is. Are you working as an employee or as an entrepreneur? And if you're working as an entrepreneur, what type of a company you have? But yes, all income in Finland is taxed, and I would really be careful here. I want to just disclaim this here. In Finland, tax avoidance is actually very easily noticed. The Finnish tax administration is very efficient in what they do, and they can actually catch you very, very easily if you do business and you don't pay your taxes, or if you work as an employee and you don't pay your taxes. And it's a crime in Finland, and you can get very, very heavy punishments for tax avoidance. And this is actually something that I would recommend or like to say to everyone out loud. In Finland, we basically never pay salaries in cash. There might be some very, very few exceptions, but as a general rule of thumb, in Finland, you are never paid your salary in cash. If you are offered a salary in cash, it is most likely that company is avoiding taxes. Because why this is so is because in Finland, if you work as an employee for a company, so you're in a working relationship and you have a employment contract, which you have to have, by the way, you should not work a single day in Finland without a physical or a actual work contract that has been signed by both parties. Regardless, in Finland, your taxes, if you work as an employee, your employer is responsible for paying your taxes from your salary and all the other mandatory social payments before they pay your net salary on your account. So this means that all salaries in Finland are paid through a direct bank transfer, before which the company actually submits all your taxes and social payments into the specific governmental departments. And if you're offered to be paid in cash, that is most likely because the company is wanting to avoid taxes. And the reason why I'm saying that you should be extremely careful here is because if this is the case, the company, first of all, and the employer will be liable for tax fraud or avoiding taxes. However, you as an employee might also be liable, or you might also be charged for avoiding taxes. So it's also your responsibility to make sure that the employer is paying the taxes out of your salary. So please take this into account. The Finnish tax administration is very efficient in what they do, and avoiding taxes is a huge thing that you should avoid in Finland. It's absolutely not recommended. You're going to get a lot of trouble. And for example, if you're here on a working visa or a student visa and you avoid your taxes, in my understanding, you will basically immediately lose your residence permit and you will be kicked out of the country. So just take that into account. In Finland, we enjoy a lot of public benefits. We pay high taxes, but we actually get a lot for our money. So please do your part if you want to live in this society. Just, putting this out there for anyone who is thinking about avoiding taxation in Finland. It's a part of our society. Take this into account. Let's see. Let's see. Tyler asking, how do Finns feel about 35 degrees Celsius? I'm currently slowly dying in this heat. Absolutely unbearable. I don't remember ever having 35 degrees Celsius in Finland, ever. I think the highest that we had this year was 34, and that was like a all-time record, and that was in Lapland. However, I've never experienced 35 myself. 32 is I think, the biggest. Shubham saying, I want to work in the tax department now. It's actually funny because the Finnish tax administration is one of the funniest governmental institutions. They have one of the best social media teams in the entire country, and it's basically a meme on its own, how funny they are. So I would recommend you following the Finnish tax administration on social media. It's a lot of fun. Cool. Then the next question from the forum comes from Eric. What's up, Eric, and welcome again. Hopefully you're still live and not, hopefully you did not. I did not drop you when the stream failed. So anyway, Eric comes from South Africa and is coming to Finland for work, not for school, specifically in the field of IT. And the question is, hey Oliver, it's been a while. It has been. Hope you're doing good. I'm doing good as well. Thank you very much. And I recently finished a Finnish language course through the XAMK University of Applied Sciences. Is it worth it attaching that to my CV when applying for jobs? Absolutely yes. Absolutely yes, it is. Eric is continuing. It's not an officially accredited course where you would get the A1, A2 levels, etc. It's just a certificate that I finished the course. Yeah, absolutely, definitely attach that to your CV, or at least mention that in your language skills. Of course, your language level is still going to be basic, I would guess. However, it's still a big thing. And for example, what I would... Oh, Eric, what's up? Awesome to have you here. I'm glad that you're still here. What I would actually recommend you to do is to have that in your language section in your CV and actually attach a link into it. So just basically a hyperlink. And when you're using the school, please use the full name of the school. So just not XAMK, but XAMK University of Applied Sciences, because not all recruiters in Finland, know about XAMK. Not all recruiters in Finland know about XAMK, and if they do, they usually use the full name in Finnish especially. So you have the full name of the school and then attach a hyperlink to the course into the CV, and so that they're able to check it out if they want to and if they get interested. But absolutely yes, that definitely shows motivation, especially if that would be me, checking out your CV. Of course, you're not necessarily going to be proficient in the language with just that one course. However, it's definitely going to be a positive. So yeah, absolutely. Let's see. All right. So Alexi fan saying, please read my question clearly. Let's read it together here at the same time. Can I come to Finland on a visit visa, or basically a tourist visa, and find a job and go back to my own country and apply for a work permit? I know that we can't work in Finland on a tourist visa. In theory, yes. However, this is highly unlikely, because basically, if you come to Finland with a tourist visa, you cannot stay here for that long of a time. And, looking for jobs and actually finding a job and pitching yourself to a company, far enough for them to give you an official offer on the table is I don't see this happening. Again, Finnish companies prefer hiring people who are already in Finland, or for example in Europe, because there's no hassle with the residence permits because we have free movement inside of Europe or EU. So sure, in theory, if you're able to find a company in Finland during your stay here with your tourist visa, and you're able to pitch yourself to them, go through the entire hiring process to where they actually give you a offer. It has to be a physical offer on a paper for you to be able to apply for the residence permit. In theory, yes, this could happen. However, I see it as extremely unlikely. So sure, I guess so. But, you know, I don't know. Actually, here's a very good point from Sriram, kind of to the question before. IT companies and startups mention that they do not sponsor work visas in the first line. Then how can other country citizens get a job in Finland? So this is not a general. Actually, this might be true for some companies, but not for everyone. So please don't take this as a literal rule. Not sure from where you've heard from about this, but there's plenty of companies in Finland who actually go through the work visa process with you. However, of course, they do not sponsor a visa monetarily. You have to go through that. Plus, as per to the rules, they cannot apply for a work residence permit for you. You have to go through the process yourself. So that would mean that basically there are a bunch of companies in Finland that do offer work for international people who come from outside the Eurozone or European Union. However, they still have to be able to wait for you to go through the work process or the residence permit process. So yes, that's true. There's not that many companies in Finland. There are plenty of companies, but it's difficult to find them. Basically, let's put it this way: companies that will be willing to hire or offer you a job and go through the waiting of getting you a residence permit, because the residence permit process, as I'm sure Eric in the chat can attest to, can take a long time, from a few months to a year up to even. So you're kind of correct, but not entirely here. Nabel Elahi has a very good question. Oliver, do all who apply for student family apartments get an apartment? Because I applied 2 weeks back and I can see their Facebook that 600 applications are pending. Please answer this. The simple answer is no. There's not enough student apartments for all applicants. It doesn't matter if it's a family apartment or not. If you applied, for a student apartment 2 weeks ago and you need a student apartment, by the end of this month or early September, sorry, you're too late. I don't see this happening. Please still stay in the queues because you will be offered a student apartment later as the queues get shorter. But this is the reason why I actually tell everyone, almost in my every single video that I do, is that you need to apply for student apartments in Finland early. It doesn't mean a month before you come to Finland. It means 4 months before you come to Finland. Because if you apply 3 to 4 weeks before you come to Finland, it's extremely likely that you will not be offered a student apartment because, and please do take this into account, it's not only the international students who are applying for the student apartments. We have thousands and thousands of Finnish students who also apply for those same apartments. So you guys are competing against everyone who's studying in Finland. So again, if you applied 2 weeks ago, you're basically too late. I don't see you getting an offer before you come to Finland. So at this point, I would please urge you to start looking for apartments from the private market, especially if you're coming to Finland in September. But at the same time, stay in the queues for student apartments because they might offer you an apartment at any point. However, I don't see it happening before the start of the semester. So please, just take that into account. Yeah, Eric saying that the residence permit processes for work take a long time. So yeah. There. All right. Anyway, the next question comes from the forum, comes from Bunny, who is from Finland, and of course he's already studying in Finland, doing his bachelor's in IT. And the question is, hey Oliver, I have big doubts about, is it possible to take holidays like 1 month in the middle of an academic year? I don't see any reason why not. Plenty of people take holidays and, you know, breaks from school even in the middle of the academic year. It's purely based on the schedule that you build yourself. So this also applies to everyone who is coming from outside of Finland. In Finland, we have something called academic freedom, basically meaning that you have the personal freedom of planning your own studies, and no one is going to be behind you making sure that you actually follow that plan. But rather it's solely your responsibility of making sure that you actually, you know, go to the classes, actually pass the exams, pass the courses. This means that no one cares if you don't come to the classes. There are some classes that have mandatory attendance, but the professors don't care. They will not call you. Basically, if you have mandatory attendance and you're not there, you're going to get a strike. And if you get enough strikes, you're kicked out of the course. However, if you don't have mandatory classes, then no one, literally no one cares whether or not you go to the classes or not. You simply have to do the assignments that you're assigned to do during the course, pass the exams, pass the course. This is why anyone can take a break at any time in school in Finland, not go to the classes, if they want and if their personal schedule allows that. I have plenty of friends who take, you know, a couple of week-long holidays, you know, abroad, for example, in the middle of the academic year, because they can and no one is there to tell them no. But it's then their responsibility to make sure that they actually pass the exams and actually pass the courses. For example, every single year during the past 8 years, I've gone to do a 1 week-long hike every September with other students. That's 1 week out of the, you know, that's a week-long holiday and the courses have just started. That's fine, no one cares. I just need to make sure that I have all the materials from the classes and I study them for the next class, and then, you know, I'll be able to pass the course. So, you know, there you go. Absolutely, yes. Please just make sure that you're able to cope with the stress and the workload, but there's absolutely no reason why you couldn't take this kind of a holiday. Then let's see, there's a couple of copies of the same question here. All right, so then the next question from Bonnie is actually holidays in Finland. I mean, what are the holidays in Finland? I mean, total numbers of summer holidays, total numbers of winter holidays. Depends on the school and the program that you're applying to or studying, as well as the course that you're taking. However, as a general rule of thumb, winter holidays or Christmas holidays in Finland start usually a week before Christmas, at the latest. However, sometimes they start already 2 weeks depending on your courses. The holidays, Christmas holidays for students end on the first week of January, depending on the school that you go to, but usually that's after the first week of January. So they end on the second week of January. And then summer holidays, again, depending on the school, they either start on the last week of May or on the first week of June, and they end either in mid-August or on the after the first week of September. The biggest difference here is that for universities we have longer holidays, and universities of applied sciences have a bit shorter holidays. It's simply because of the way that they have structured their semesters. But yeah, so basically that's the structure for holidays. You can count the number of days yourself. Also, by the way, I have actually on my channel, I have a video where I go through the entire academic year and the schedule basically day by day. And I actually count the number of holidays each year in that video. So go ahead and check it out if you want more specifics. Then the next question from the forum, and by the way, Tejas, I actually answered your question, I think already either earlier in this stream or in the one that crashed earlier today. So just, you know, take that into account. However, if you have a new question, then I have not seen it, or if it's in the chat, I will not get into the chat right now. I'm answering the questions from the forum. Please, there's no point for repeating the same. Please answer my question in the chat. That is not going to help you. Most likely, I'm not going to answer your question if you basically you know, just repeat yourself there. Just, you know, wait for your turn. There's a bunch of questions in the forum as well as in the chat. I will get to you on time. There's a lot of people asking me to answer their questions. There's certain rules that we follow during the stream so that I can be fair to everyone. So, you know, that's just the rules that we have to live by. Talking of which, the next question from the form comes from Robert, who comes from Portugal, is already in Finland, and is doing his bachelor's in ICT or IT. And there's a bunch of questions here, so let's go through these in a rapid fire session. Hi Oliver, where are you from? I'm from Finland. I've been born and bred in Finland. I've lived most of my life in the capital region, also a couple of years in Lahti, which is an hour and a half north from Finland. Then Robert saying I'm a student in Finland. I'm planning to take my to make YouTube videos. Very cool. Is it okay to generate income through Google via YouTube and website and different websites? Absolutely yes. Again, these are going to be taxed as income. The way that they're taxed and how much they're going to be taxed depends on whether you do this as a private person or a private individual, or if you have if you set up a company. My recommendation is that you set up a company and get a good accountant, because that will allow you to also take many of the expenses that you have, for example, camera gear, everything like this, and you can, what is it? You can then deduct those as costs from your income so that you will be taxed lower. So yeah, there you go. Then starting and maximum amount of salary received by IT employees. Absolutely no way for me to say this. Salaries start from a couple of thousand euros to tens and tens and tens of thousands of euros, up to hundreds of thousands of euros per year, depend if you're in a managerial position in a big massive company. There's no maximum and minimum salaries in Finland. The salaries in Finland are regulated both by industry practices as well as industry collective agreements, which are basically, we have unions in Finland, and they have agreements with many companies in their industries, and they agree on minimum salaries. So there's no universal minimum salary in Finland. Rather, it always depends on the field as well as the position that you're applying to, your educational background as well as your previous experience. And there's no maximum amount of salary. You know, you can do millions if you are really good at what you do, and if you work in a company that is growing like hell. One more doubt. I have a degree from University of Applied Sciences. Can I study a master's in a university? If you study a bachelor's in a University of Applied Sciences, yes, you can apply for a master's in a university. However, please take into account that you have to specifically and separately apply for a master's program at a university after you have completed your bachelor's at a University of Applied Sciences. If you already know that you want to do a master's after your bachelor's, I recommend that you apply directly to a university, because in Finland we have a system where if you are admitted to a university to do your bachelor's, you're automatically at the same time also admitted to do your master's directly after you have completed your bachelor's. So there's no separate application process. However, if you study at a University of Applied Sciences and you want to do a master's afterwards, you have to apply separately and go through the entire application process, which can take up to half a year. So if you already know that you want to do a master's, make it easier for yourself, apply to a university directly. Can I get a job with a bachelor's from a University of Applied Sciences? Absolutely yes. There's tens of thousands of people, studying at universities of applied sciences every single year, and people get work from there. Finland has a public university. Finland has a public education system. There are no private universities in Finland that operate under the Finnish Ministry of Education. Every university that is accredited in Finland that offer Finnish degrees, they're all working under the Ministry of Education. And they're all public, and all public universities in Finland are good, and they have demand for their graduates, and there's a reason why the programs exist, because there are jobs in those fields. So absolutely, you can get a job with a bachelor's from a University of Applied Sciences. Absolutely yes. Will language proficiency test in Finnish be easy or hard? Depends on the language proficiency test. I don't know. What level of proficiency test are you taking? Are you taking a citizenship test? That is going to be hard. Are you taking a language proficiency test for a university? I don't know. I've never done those. Again, thousands and thousands and thousands of people take them every year and pass them. So, Is it easy to get a driver's license in Finland? If you have a driver's license in your own country, you can drive in Finland. However, if you stay here permanently, you have to exchange that into a Finnish driver's license. I don't know how the process works, but it's not difficult. So yes, it's easy to get a driver's license in Finland. Do I have Finnish citizenship? Yes, I'm Finnish. If I marry a Finnish girl, will I get a Finnish citizenship? No, your citizenship status is not tied into your marital status. You have to apply for a citizenship separately, and there's a certain set of rules for that. Please refer to the Finnish Immigration Service about the citizenship application process. Is it easy to get an IT job as a part-time while studying in a university? Easy is a very relative term. It is easy relative to many other fields. However, it's always dependent on your ability to pitch yourself to a company, and nothing is ever easy. It's always dependent on your expertise and ability to bring value to the companies. Ticket fares in movie theaters depends on the movie theater, but they're usually from 10 euros to like 25 euros for 3D something. Do you have any information about becoming an actor in Finland? Absolutely no. Suggest some good cities in Finland. Any big city in Finland: Helsinki, Turku, Lahti, Tampere, Vaasa, Oulu. All awesome cities. Turku I love, Helsinki I love, Vaasa I love. There you go. Suggest some cheap airway networks in Finland. Norwegian is a Norwegian company. What is it called? Airline, which is cheap, and many people in Finland use them for cheap travel, especially abroad. There you go. Cool. There you go. All right. So I just puked like 20 questions, rapid fire. Hopefully everyone else also got some value out of that. Quick drink. All right. Before I jump into the next question, which comes from Alexandra from Poland, super quickly, let's see what we have here in the comments. Zylord asking, Oliver, can you live in a car if you don't get an apartment? I'm sure there are regulations about this. I don't know. I don't know. Please use Google. For this, I'm basically at the same point as you are in terms of the information. I would just start Googling. I'm sure that there's regulation in terms of this. Let's see. What if, let's say we studied in Lappeenranta at the Lappeenranta University and want to do a master's in Aalto or Helsinki, then you need to separately apply for a master's into Aalto University or the University of Helsinki. That's it. You cannot transfer yourself from school to school. You need to apply separately. So you have to go through the application process again. I'm sure that those cheap flats are really good in Finland. Now imagine a cheap flat in a Slavic country. I don't need to imagine. I saw it. Horrific. Yeah, cheap student flats in Finland are still really good quality. They're very well maintained. Of course, in Finland, it's standard that apartments are extremely well isolated, insulated and heated, of course, for the winter. As a general rule of thumb, student apartments are also always really, really good, regardless of the price. The price is mostly impacted by the size of the apartment, the age of the building, the location of the apartment, the services that they have in the apartment building, etc. Excuse me. This actually applies to everyone. Asking about part-time jobs in Finland as a national of a certain country doesn't tell me anything. There's no difference working in Finland as an Indian citizen compared to working in Finland, for example, as a Sri Lankan citizen or Australian citizen or German citizen. Sure, okay. There's a difference in applying for work in Finland as a European Union citizen compared to everyone else. However, on top of that, there's no differences whatsoever working in Finland as a US citizen, Indian citizen, German citizen, or even Swedish citizen. Swedish citizens, they will have it a bit easier because they, speak Swedish, especially if the company that they're working in is working with Swedish customers, then it's easier for them. However, for everyone else, no difference, on your nationality. Part-time jobs in Finland are the same for Indian students or Indians as for everyone else. Oops, there. Great question, actually, for the kind of day-to-day life. Do Finnish movie theaters only show movies in the original language? Yes. basically, sorry, no, some movies for kids are dubbed into Finnish. However, they usually run the original language and Finnish language separately. Some, of course, Disney movies that are for kids, they might only have dubbed in Finnish. Usually they also have the English version as well. However, in Finland, all TV shows, movies that are streamed on television, they're always in the original language unless they're from Yle, which is the national broadcasting company paid by taxes. They do have some dubbed programming, but those are usually during special hours. However, movie theaters, always the original language, or pretty much always the original language, unless they're dubbed into Finnish. Super interesting question, by the way. What do you think about Samk University? Very good school. Absolutely recommend it if they have a program that you're interested in. Let's see. Is Finnish language a must for IT or not? No, it's not. Hey, Kandi, tell me expenses for living over there. Depends on the city, but usually I would recommend, around 800 euros per month if you live alone. However, if you have a family, then of course you have to, increase the amount of money that you need per month, because if you have a spouse, then you basically need to, at minimum, have that times, 1.5 or something like that. And then if you have kids, at least double that for at minimum. The biggest expense for living each month is your rent, and the rents are pretty much different depending on the city that you live in. The bigger the city, the more expensive they usually are. The closer to the city centers you are living in, the more expensive they are. Helsinki is naturally the most expensive city in Finland to live in. Apartments in Finland have very good insulation for the weather, but do they also have good sound insulation? That's actually a very interesting question. So that depends on the age of the building, basically. A lot of really modern buildings that have been built during the 2000s do have really good sound insulation. However, or sound isolation. However, older buildings usually don't have that good of sound insulation. However, what is good is also depends on what you mean as good. For example, in our student apartment, which was finished in 2012, we basically hear nothing from our neighbors ever, and it's a student building, so people have a lot of parties. Sometimes we can hear some super distant music coming through the building structures. But it's super faint, and I've been living there for almost 8 years. No problems ever whatsoever with anything. Aalto University versus the University of Helsinki in IT and computer sciences. This is pretty easy. The University of Helsinki doesn't have a faculty in computer sciences. University of Helsinki. Let's see. No, sorry, they actually do have a department of computer sciences. I'm my apologies. I'm wrong. Let's see, what do they have here? They have master's degrees in computer sciences as well as data sciences. So yeah, as a general rule of thumb, the Aalto University is better if the best. In rankings, Aalto University is better than the University of Helsinki. Also, of course, the University of Helsinki is also one of the best. It's the best research university in Finland and one of the best universities in Europe. So it's also excellent. However, the biggest difference here is that the Aalto University is more business oriented, more practical per se. However, the University of Helsinki is a bit more focused on the research and the academic side of things. So it depends a bit on what kind of perspective you want to take into your studies. But yeah, Aalto University #1, Helsinki University, really great school as well. I'm sorry I have been misstating. The University of Helsinki does have a faculty in computer sciences, so my bad. All right, the next question from the forum, let's jump back into the forum, comes from Alexandra, who comes from Poland. And Alexandra has not yet decided whether or not she wants to study in Finland. She's still gathering information. You're welcome. Welcome to the channel. I was supposed to say this is the correct place for you. She wants to do a master's in architecture. I don't need to even read the question. Aalto University is the school for you. It's the best university in Finland for architecture, hands-on. So absolutely recommend it. It's also a great school in architecture when compared globally as well. So the question, as a EU citizen, what do you need for applying for a master's degree in Finland? You need to have a bachelor's degree that makes you eligible to apply for a master's in that specific field. So for example, if you want to do a master's in architecture, you pretty much have to have a bachelor's in architecture as well. But that bachelor can be, you know, about anything in architecture, like urban, building, infrastructure, you know, whatever. However, if you, for example, have a bachelor's degree in mathematics, well, that might, no, it's not going to make you eligible, most likely. Might, not likely. But for example, if you have a bachelor's in business, you will not be able to apply for a master's in architecture. You need to have a degree that makes you ready to study that specific subject on a master's level, because in Finland, master's courses go super, super deep. So you have to have the, you know, preliminary information already that makes you suitable as a student. So that's number one. Usually, if you have not done a English medium degree if you're a EU citizen, you have to do a language proficiency test as well. And you also need to have, might need to do some kind of a, you might have to do some kind of a, what is it? What is this? Aptitude test, some kind of an aptitude test, but this depends on the school that you're applying to, as well as the program that you're applying to. So what I would recommend you to do is to go to Aalto University's website, specifically to their master's program webpage for architecture, and check the specific requirements from there, because they will have program specific requirements. And this of course applies to everyone else as well. If you want to know what it takes to apply and get admitted to a specific program in Finland, please visit the web page for that specific program in that specific university. The requirements for university programs in Finland are always dependent on that program and the school as well. There you go. Okay. The next question from the forum comes from Michael Nadirats. Welcome again. Awesome to have you here. I haven't noticed you in the chat unless you're using a different name. Michael is from Georgia, a regular on the channel, which I do appreciate. And Michael is also starting school this semester, doing his degree in Hanken, doing his master's in finance, which is awesome, awesome, awesome. Again, once again, congrats on the admission. That's pretty awesome. That's excellent. Trying to use a bit different words. Anyway, hello Oliver, hopefully you're doing fine. I'm doing great. Hope you're doing great as well. I'm arriving to Helsinki on Monday, so can you tell me how can I get to city center from the airport? Is there Wi-Fi at the airport, and which mobile SIM card would you recommend and where to buy it? Great questions. So this applies to everyone who are coming to Helsinki, specifically landing to the Helsinki airport, which is called Helsinki-Vantaa Airport. The reason it's called Helsinki-Vantaa is because it's actually divided by two cities, Helsinki and Vantaa. And let me super quickly share my screen. All right, Google Maps, Helsinki, Vantaa. All right, Helsinki Airport. Let's put it this way, a bit easier for you. Let's zoom out. So Helsinki-Vantaa Airport is here, and then the center of Helsinki is right here. So we actually have a direct train line from the airport to the center of Helsinki to the main railway station. Super easy. You just basically walk directly from the terminal into the train, buy a ticket from the platform, or before that, come to Helsinki. You will come to the main railway station, which is right here. It's in the dead center of downtown Helsinki. And from there, then you can continue with a bus, metro, tram, wherever you're going to. So that's super easy. To answer your second question, yes, there is a free Wi-Fi at the Helsinki airport that you can use. However, when you come to Finland, you will not have a local SIM card, and using your 4G network with a foreign SIM card in Finland is going to be extremely expensive. Please don't do that. So as a general recommendation for everyone, I would recommend you to download the Google Maps, offline Google Maps of Helsinki, the entire capital region, before you come here, because then you can use Google Maps and the routes offline without having any kind of an internet connection. So you can then get by during the couple of first days. So that's what I recommend. Then in terms of mobile SIM cards, what do I recommend? All of the SIM card providers, for example, here, M is asking Elisa or DNA, both are mobile operators in Finland. They basically have identical SIM card SIM card and mobile subscriptions. Doesn't really matter from where you actually get it. Elisa, DNAs, they're both good. Telia is a third one that is good as well. And where to get SIM cards from them is basically every single big shopping center in Finland will have shops from either any of these. So Elisa, DNA, or Telia. Telia, or TELIA. And basically, again, the mobile operator market in Finland is highly competitive, and it's also very heavily regulated by the government, meaning that the prices in Finland are very cheap and you get really good value for your subscriptions. So let's actually, I can actually show you an example here. By the way, do note, you can actually get student discounts for your mobile subscriptions or SIM cards. So please take that into account. So if you go to frank.fi, Frank is a company providing student cards in Finland, and they actually show many of the discounts that you can actually get with student cards. If you go to show more discounts and then you just look for Telia, or mobile, you can actually see that Telia, for example, has a mobile subscription that is only $19.90. They've been Frank has been having some issues with their website. However, then we have also okay, so right now it's actually just Telia which has a discount. Basically, if I remember correctly, what they have for this discount, it's unlimited 4G internet for I think 200 megabytes per second in Finland, as well as in the Baltic countries, as well as in other Nordic countries as well. Then it also includes unlimited texts as well as unlimited phone calls. That's all of that is 20 euros per month with a student discount. So that's super cheap. And do not take into account that the 4G, 5G networks in Finland are excellent. There's a massive amount of coverage everywhere that you go. Into the metro, you will have 4G there, fully functioning. If you go into the middle of the woods in Lapland, well, not there necessarily, but anywhere you go, you will have very good internet connection. So definitely recommend getting a good a SIM card and a monthly subscription from any of these three companies that I mentioned. One thing to note, if you come to Finland to study full-time, a full degree, please do not buy prepaid cards. They're extremely expensive in the long term, but rather please get a monthly subscription. Those are going to be so much cheaper, and they also bring you more value as well. However, if you only come to Finland for one semester, you basically have to opt for a prepaid card, because the mobile subscription providers will not sell you a full subscription. They have a right to decline a customer. So, there you go. Yannick asking, how good is the internet in the Haas apartments, and do you need to bring your own router? If you want to have Wi-Fi, yes, you need to have a Wi-Fi router. So you need to buy one. I don't recommend bringing your own into Finland because there might be some configuration issues. Rather buy one from Finland. You can get them for 20, 30, 50 euros. If you want to pay more, you can of course pay more, but no need. The internet is excellent. I've never had any problems with the Wi-Fi. We basically, I think we have 100 megabytes or 150 megabytes of free internet in our place. I've never had any issues streaming 4K stuff from YouTube or Netflix, even if we have me and my girlfriend both streaming different Netflix movies or multiple streams of YouTube. So yeah, the Haas internet is really, really good. Let's see. The next question from the form. Let's jump back into the form for a while. The next question is actually coming from Gloria from India, and Gloria is applying to the Kajaani University of Applied Sciences to do her master's in business and administration. Awesome. And the question is, as a student, I would like to know about childcare services in Finland. How many hours can I leave the child in childcare, and what would be the cost? To be honest, Gloria, I don't know. This is actually something that I have not gotten into. So please Google childcare for internationals in Finland, or childcare for foreigners in Finland. You should be able to find the information pretty easily that way. This is something that I have not familiarized myself at all ever, so I don't have any information here. And I know that if I start Googling right now, it will take some time, so that's not fair for everyone else waiting in the stream. So yeah, sorry, I cannot give you any answers here. Then the next question comes from Fleischman. Yes, which is again awesome to have you here, even with the different different profile. And yes, comes from Hungary, is still in high school and interested in Aalto University. And the question is, if you had 60 seconds to tell someone why they should study or live in Finland, what would you say? Finland is, according to the UN, the best country to live in, not only in terms of the quality of life, the standard of living, but also in the, for example, in the quality of education. After you graduate in Finland, you will easily get a residence permit to work here full-time, permanently. And there's only a few years from there that you can actually apply for a permanent residency. And after that, a couple of years onwards until you can actually apply for a citizenship. In terms of work, Finnish salaries are actually highly competitive globally, even if we have high taxations. Talking of which, we actually get a lot value for our taxes here. So for example, if you compare to the US, in the US they have low taxes and the taxes are not collected efficiently and you don't really get much for the taxes. In Finland it's completely opposite. We get once you get permanent residency here, and even if you get a child here and if they get Finnish citizenship, they would then be able to utilize free healthcare, free education, all the way from kindergarten, all the way to a PhD degree, PhD level degree in Finland. So if you want to, bring up a family, have a good work-life balance, and still make a really good career, even as a woman, Finland is basically the best country for you. And also, of course, for women, Finland is not only the safest country to live in the world, according to the UN, but it's also one of the most equal countries in the world, again, according to the UN. So we have a lot of things. We are on a lot of lists, number one or in the top 3, according to official surveys. Finland is just overall a great country to live in. Of course, there are many other countries like Finland. However, if you want to, have a good balanced life where you feel safe, both in terms of, walking around the city, as well as being safe of being covered by the local healthcare system, Finland is the way to go. Absolutely. Then let's see. The next question comes from Radu, who comes from Romania, and has not yet decided whether or not he wants to study in Finland, but is interested in doing a degree in a military academy. And the question is, hey Oliver, can one conscript or enroll in the army? Can one who is not a Finnish citizen enroll in the army or the military or study at the military academy as a foreigner? As a general rule of thumb, you cannot. You have to be a Finnish citizen in order to do a military service in Finland, as well as apply to the Finnish military academy. There might be some exceptions to the military academy because it's a university. However, you cannot serve in the Finnish military unless you're a citizen. Great question, though. Then the next question from the forum also comes from ES, and it's, is it possible to complete a bachelor's in Hungary and then go to Finland to do a master's? Absolutely, yes. There's absolutely nothing stopping you from doing this. You simply just have to apply for a master's degree after completing your bachelor's in Hungary. That's basically it. It's the same process as if you were to apply for a bachelor's. However, the process is a bit different than you will be asked for, or the requirements to get admitted into a master's program are a bit different. However, yeah, it's basically the same process with a bit of a different schedule and different requirements. But yeah, absolutely yes. And then the next question from the forum comes from Salman, who comes from Iran. And Salman is applying to the University of Helsinki, doing his master's in chemistry. And the question is, would you please say some tips about good motivation letters, and please say about the future in chemical industries in Finland? The chemical industry in Finland is actually booming right now. We have a lot of especially sustainable business happening in for example, in sustainable fuels. For example, the Finnish government-owned company Neste is one of the world-leading companies, specifically in sustainable. Come on, what is it? Sustainable fuels and propellant. That was the word that I was looking for. And the further we go into, for example, biofuels and this kind of stuff, the more and more professionals in chemistry we are going to need here. In addition, we have a lot of research and a lot of really interesting companies working on material sciences. For example, especially working with different kind of wood-based composites that are replacing plastics in many, many industries. And of course, those kind of companies also require chemists. So I would say if you want to work in the private sector, there's a lot of really interesting opportunities, especially in the sustainable industries for people who are really, really good at what they do. And then tips about for a good motivation letter. Try to think about the letter. When you're writing the letter, try to think about the letter not as yourself, but as a person who's reading it from the university. Basically, they do not want you to just talk about yourself and why you're such a good applicant. They want you to tell why are you such a good applicant for them. Specifically for that university, in your case, University of Helsinki, why are you the perfect applicant for the University of Helsinki? What does the University of Helsinki get from you? And for example, what does the Finnish society, what does the Finnish market actually get from you? What are your aspirations in Finland? Why do you actually want to study in Finland in the first place? What is your motivation to come there? Again, what do you want to do? And what kind of value are you what kind of value are you bringing not only to the university, but also to the Finnish society in the long term? I would think about it this way. Way too many people just talk about themselves like, okay, I have so much experience in this, and I have done so many extracurricular activities that makes me awesome. Who cares? This also applies when you're applying for jobs. Don't talk only about yourself because say why you're so awesome. Talk about yourself in the context of the company. What kind of value are you bringing into the company? This is super important if you want to apply for jobs in Finland. If you just, if you just list out stuff that you have done and list out expertise and experience that you have without any context, no one is going to be interested. Every recruiter in Finland wants to get a motivation letter where you tell about your expertise and tie them directly into the company, especially if you tell them, I will bring your company this kind of value because of reasons. So yeah, just, take into account. All right, the next question from the forum comes from Sabur from Pakistan, and Sabur is also a regular on the channel, which I do appreciate as always. And the Sabur is starting school this semester in doing his master's in chemistry. And the question is, I want to know about subletting an apartment. I have an apartment offer from HOAS and my arrival to Finland is still uncertain. So can I sub-rent my apartment to another tenant? He may live there until I arrive. I need your opinion on this. So HOAS has specific rules about subletting their apartments. And I would recommend that you just go to the HOAS website. If you don't find the link, just Google HOAS subletting or sub-renting. Or what I would also recommend you to do is to contact HOAS directly with email. And tell them the same about your situation and ask them directly whether it's okay for you to sublend your apartment for that time period. There's a lot of, I'm sure that they have gotten a lot of contact requests like this because of COVID. So I'm sure that they already have some kind of a system in place for this. However, do note that sub-renting an apartment without informing the actual landlord about it is super sketchy, and many tenant agreements actually have a clause where they say that you cannot do this without the knowledge of the original landlord, or even some tenant agreements may have a clause that you cannot sub-rent your apartment. So please contact us about this just to make sure. Then the next question from the forum comes from Alexander Heinland, who comes from Russia. And Alexander is coming to Finland for work, not for school, specifically in the field of engineering, which is awesome. And the question is, I have a Russian citizenship, but I have the opportunity to get an Estonian citizenship. What advantages could this give me in finding a job in Finland? How much easier is it to find a job in Finland as a EU citizen? Again, the big issue here is the residence permit when you to work. So if you are a non-EU citizen and you apply for work in Finland, you need to get a residence permit to work here. And in order to even apply for a residence permit, you basically need to have a literal job offer on the table from a company in Finland before you can even apply for that residence permit. So if you have EU citizenship, It of course makes this much easier because you do not need to get a residence permit in Finland. You can just arrive to Finland if you have a job and if you can provide for yourself financially. So you can't just come here and rely on the social security safety network. Rather, you need to be able to, support yourself. However, you basically, if you have EU citizenship, you can just arrive to Finland and start working. It's not that simple. You need to register yourself in Finland as a EU citizen, and there's a process there, but it's much easier because you don't have to get a residence permit to work here. So yeah, definitely it's going to be easier. If you have a very easy way for yourself to get an Estonian citizenship, yeah, that's definitely going to help you. Let's see. Then the next question comes from Dovlat, also who's coming from Russia and who's starting school this semester. And the question is, hi, Oliver, do I need a social security number to open a bank account? If yes, how can I get one? Thank you. Yes, you will need a social security number or a Finnish personal ID number to be exact. And you get this when your residence permit is provided to you. You should get this through the system. For some reason, if you do not get a residence permit to Finland, when you're granted a residence permit, please go to the website of the Finnish Digital and Population Data Services Agency. They basically, even if you have a residence permit in Finland, when you arrive here, you have to register yourself and your address into DVV, and at latest you will get a you will get a personal ID from DVV if you have not received it for some weird reason through the residence permit process. However, it's most common that you get the personal ID through the residence permit process. However, exceptions do happen sometimes, so just take that into account. If you want to find this website, just Google DVV Helsinki or Finland, DVV Finland personal ID, for example, and personal ID code here, and you should actually have a direct link to the information page where to actually get one, and etc. etc. All right, the next question in the form comes from Joy, who comes from China, and Joy is already in Finland studying architecture. And the question is, hi Oliver, I'm currently studying at Aalto University and I'm planning on graduating in December. Awesome. I wonder if you have suggested websites for apartment seeking and how much monthly rental fees would be generally expected without any kind of a financial support from the government. I'm struggling to find an affordable apartment since I won't be a student anymore soon. All right, so Joy, first of all, good luck on your last leg of your studies. It's going to be awesome, and good luck on everything afterwards. What I would recommend you to do is to first of all check out the rules from the student apartment provider that you're living at currently, because for example, if you live at HOAS apartments, they will not kick you out the second that you graduate, but rather there's a bit of a buffer there, a few months of buffer for you to find an apartment before they basically kick you out. However, the buffer depends on the student apartment provider. Then what I would recommend you to do is to simply go to Google and search rental apartments Helsinki. And for example, a couple of really good apartment providers. Sato is a very good one. We have actually lived in a Sato apartment with my girlfriend previously. Very good, very nice apartments. Avara as well. We have Lumo is very good one. And we have where do we have something that I'm looking for? Okay, never mind. I'm not able to find one more that I'm looking for. However, then one more. All of the pages that I just mentioned, all of these are basically apartment providers. So they're companies that rent out their own apartments. However, most of the apartments that you would be renting after graduation are actually owned by private individuals who rent their investment or their apartments. For those, for example, vuokra ovi is a direct translation from rental door. Rental door. Here, for example, they have listings of apartments owned by private individuals, and of course here you can filter out the results through using a map, the price or the rent per month, or the location, for example. So Vuokraovi is a really good one. So again, here's the URL if you want to check it out directly. Then a couple of other places where you can check out is, let's see if we can actually have, if we have these in English, that's the big question. The problem here is that many of the rental apartment platforms where people rent out their apartments as private individuals, many of them are for some reason still in Finnish, which kind of sucks. But yeah, I would say Vuokraovi is the one that you should start with, as well as with Sato and so on. Again, just Google rental apartments Helsinki and you should find plenty of alternatives to look from, and you should get a good start from there. And how much for a rental? What would be an affordable rent per month around the capital region? Depends on the size of the apartment, but I would recommend you to reserve at least 700 euros per month for just the rent, plus then electricity, water, internet. So that's going to be around 800 euros at minimum. It can go higher than that, but of course the general rule of thumb is that the further away that you get from the city center, the cheaper it's going to be. I would recommend Espoo as a good alternative, because they have much cheaper apartments already because it's outside of Helsinki. So there, one kind of pro tip. All right. Then the next question from the forum comes from Kasum Khan, who comes from Kazakhstan and is already studying in Finland, doing his degree master's in economics at Aalto University School of Business. Very, very nice. And the question is, what kind of a GPA should I maintain in my bachelor studies to keep my 100% scholarship for my master's? I think actually Aalto University doesn't even have a... Let's actually see. If I remember correctly, Aalto University scholarship does not have a GPA requirement. Aalto University scholarship, very easy to check out. Scholarships and tuition fees, excuse me. And Aalto University scholarship program. The So, allocated during the academic evaluation stage, blah, blah, blah. Scholarships are granted for the normative period of study of the degree program. The normative study period is 3 years of full-time study for bachelor's and 2 years for a master's degree. Scholarship requires full-time study and studying according to the approved personal study plan. So based on this, and if you are not sure yet, please contact the university offices, your university study coordinator, basically. Contact them via the SISU platform, which is the personal study platform, if you want to be absolutely sure about this. However, based on this information, there is no GPA requirements for you to upkeep. However, you have to do full-time studies and get enough credits. I think the minimum is 45 credits per year. And those credits have to come from the personal study plan that has been approved by your personal study coordinator. So that's the big one. Then a big, I think here was something about the cancellation of the scholarships. Let's see. Excuse me. Okay, never mind. I can't find it for some reason. So if you just Google Aalto University scholarships and cancellation, you should find a page. The URL starts with info.aalto.fi for this specific page. I've seen it before. I just don't remember where it is. And on that page, they have actually specific rules on what are the minimum requirements for you in terms of the credits per year for you to keep the scholarship. It might also have something about the GPA if there's anything there. However, if there's no information there in into.alto.fi, then there's no GPA requirement. That's basically for sure. So yeah, great question. Then the next question comes from Shubham Bisht, who comes from India, and he has not yet decided whether or not he wants to study in Finland, but is interested in Aalto University, specifically the Masters in Art and Design. Very good. And the question is, if I do my Masters in, if I do my Masters, which counts for 1 year, if it's a 2-year course, how easy is it for me to find work in another EU countries, especially when in Finland, if I have less opportunities in Finland? So I actually don't really get the question. Do you mean if you do your 2-year master's degree in just 1 year, or if you just complete 1 year out of your 2-year degree? Those are completely different questions. If you finish your studies, your 2-year degree in 1 year, I don't know, that might be a positive thing for, job seeking. No idea how easy, no idea if it makes it your job seeking in other EU countries any more easy than what it's going to be if you graduate from in 2 years. Personally, I wouldn't care as an employer if you graduated in 1 year. Actually, that might even be a negative for me, because that tells me that you have been sitting in the university at the campus for 24 hours a day, just studying, doing nothing else. And that's a big negative for me, because I want students to also do other stuff as well alongside their studies. The degree itself is not the thing. What kind of expertise and experiences you get during your studies, that's what counts. So rushing through your studies, there's actually no point doing that unless you're also able to do other stuff like volunteering and working part-time at the same time. This is actually a good, pointer to everyone who is going to apply for work in Finland. Rushing through your studies faster than what is the normative pace, there's actually no benefit there. You actually might be shooting yourself in the foot, because again, many employers don't care about the degree as much as they care about your previous work experience, the expertise that you have, and for example, volunteer experience. Volunteering in Finland is very, very highly regarded by employers. And if you just, straight run through your studies by sitting in the library for 24 hours a day, you're most likely just going to shoot yourself in the foot, and you will have very hard time getting yourself hired anywhere. Because again, the degree itself is not the thing. It's everything around it that we care about. So, just keep this in mind. And then, of course, this is for everyone as well, for now and for future reference. If you ask me about how easy is it to get a job in EU or any other country if you get a degree in Finland, I have no idea. I've never worked abroad myself, especially, I've been in Germany, for example, for half a year, but I was studying there, so I have no international experience in terms of job hunting, especially as a graduate, because I just graduated. So absolutely no idea. So I'm the wrong person to ask about this. As a general rule of thumb, Finnish degrees are in general very highly respected abroad, but depends on the company, depends on your experience, depends on your expertise. It's not a yes or no question. So it's impossible for me to say. Mariana Moretti actually saying here, I'd like to take part in volunteering opportunities. I highly recommend doing this. It's not only a lot of fun, but it's also a very valuable experience for you, not only for your CV, but just personal growing experience, as well as you can make a lot of really good friends through volunteering. In fact, I would say that volunteering in student organizations is the best way for you to make friends in Finland while you're studying. And for example, is saying here, I did rush my studies and then I burned out. I actually burnt out after my first year because I tried to rush through my first year. There was absolutely no benefit out of it. I just burnt out and I wasn't able to do anything for six months. So it was basically for nothing. And then I started doing kind of all kinds of volunteering stuff, working part-time alongside my studies. that I've still done really well for myself. I actually got almost a perfect GPA for my master's, even though I was working part-time and volunteering. So and I haven't, the funny thing here is, I don't want to brag, but as a personal case example, I just want everyone to understand this. The value of volunteering is not necessarily getting CV marks or things into your CV. Sure, that's a cool thing. And volunteering shows not only your ability to work for someone else without getting money for your work. So it shows flexibility and for example, the ability to kind of give out your time for free. That's the big thing, and that's highly appreciated by employers in Finland as well as in other countries as well. However, the thing here is that volunteering is the best way for you to network with people in your field in Finland during your studies. As an example, I have not sent a single job application in the last 6 years. I have not sent a single job application in the last 6 years, because every single job that I've gotten during the last 6 years has been through recommendations. Someone has always recommended me to my previous employer, and I've been hired through recommendations, and those recommendations have come mostly through my network that I've built through working and volunteering in student organizations. Those are of course my friends as well, and we have studied sometimes the same thing, sometimes different fields at the same time, but the point here is that it's the volunteering and working in these student organizations is the best way for you to grow your professional networks and really get to know other people, and for them to get to know you super deeply. And the thing in Finland is that having really good professional networks is actually the most valuable job hunting tool for you ever in Finland. I cannot overemphasize this. It's the most important tool for you in terms of job hunting in Finland, networks, your professional networks. However, the problem is having just 1,000 LinkedIn connections, that's not a network. That's just people who, connect with you on LinkedIn. Having a professional network means that you have people who know you, who trust you, and who understand what you're capable of. And those people then are able to recommend you to different jobs if they, for example, hear about opportunities that you could be suitable for. But those recommendations will never come to you through just LinkedIn connections or by, especially asking. We don't really give recommendations that easily if you ask, but we have to first build a really deep trust to you before we recommend you to anything. And again, I haven't had to send a single job application in over 6 years because I've built my professional network and the trust between this network over the years by doing volunteering. So, just, take this into account. This is actually an interesting question. Onurakan Yildiz is asking, is it really common to switch jobs this often? Why did you switch so many jobs in just 6 years? Yeah, actually, this is a very interesting question, and it's actually been researched quite a lot in Finland. Millennials, especially in Finland, don't usually stay in one job more than 5 years. That's basically the average. But especially in the early stages of your career, that's even shorter. So it's very common for people to work, one summer job, then they go to school, then apply for another company and maybe work there for a year, then change jobs, go to a bit of a better position in another company, and basically build their a professional expertise and portfolio that way. Yeah, people change nowadays jobs extremely easily and fast, and it's actually a problem for many employers. And that is one of the reasons why we have such a good work-life balance, and why Finnish employers take such good care of their employees, because it's extremely expensive for employers to hire new people, and rehiring and training new employers employees is super expensive, so they spend a lot of money, taking good care of their current employees so that they don't have to do this as often. But yeah, in Finland, especially when you're studying, and the first few years after graduation, it's very common for young people to change jobs very rapidly and kind of build their portfolio that way. So yeah, super interesting question. Onurkan Yeld is saying, I've never met a person here in my country that's willing to switch jobs. Wow. Yeah. People, especially if you're really good at what you do as a recent graduate or near graduate, depending a bit on the field, there might actually be a lot of competition over you between many companies. And you might even be able to, kind of compete or make the companies compete on you, and you can then negotiate your salary a bit better. However, this is not the case in every companies and every field. This is most common in many niche IT fields as well as some niche business fields. However, yeah, definitely people change jobs all the time in Finland. So that's completely normal. Then the next question from the forum comes from, by the way, just, asking everyone in the chat, please let's keep the language in English because we have an international community here. Let's keep the discussion in English so that everyone can understand the discussions going on. Anyway, the next question from the forum comes from Shrojit, again from India. And the question is, hey Oliver, I wanted to know whether I need a work permit to work in Finland for part-time jobs because I am just 16. And I also wanted to ask that, is it easy for an Indian to get a job in Finland during that 1 year stay back after master's degree? Yeah, so if you come to Finland to study, you do not need a separate work permit. As a non-European Union or non-European Economic Area citizen, you can work in Finland alongside your studies for 25 hours per week on average during the semesters. So basically the hours per week are not calculated per week, but they're calculated as a weekly average over each semester. So basically starting from September to Christmas, or I'm sorry, New Year's, the amount that you work has to be under 25 hours per week on average, and then the same thing for the spring semester, which is from January to early June. So 25 hours that you can work without a separate work permit, and then the 1 year stay back period after your master's. So what Shrojit is talking about here, I can actually show you that super quickly. So if we go to the Finnish Immigration Services website, studying in Finland, and then you go here on the left, after graduation, so here, what you can do is you have basically two options. If you have found a job before you graduate, you can apply for a residence permit for work on the basis of a degree completed in Finland. So basically, if you find a job already before you graduate, then you can basically directly apply for a residence permit to work without any kind of a stay back period. This is why I recommend everyone to apply for jobs already before you graduate, so that you don't have to apply for this stay back residence permit. It makes the process easier for you. And this is also something that a lot of people do, and especially if you have already accumulated work experience during your studies, for example, during the summers, you should not have that much problems getting a job, as a master's student, just finishing up your degree. However, if you do not have a job before you graduate, you can apply for a residence permit for 1 year to look for work or to start a business as well. So what this basically means, if we click this, is that this is the so-called stay back period. So you will be able to apply for a residence permit. Apply for residence permit at the time of your graduation if you need an extended permit to look for work or to start a business after graduation. Then you can get a residence permit like this to look for work or to start a business only once and for a maximum of 1 year. So basically, during this year is intended for you to look for work in Finland. And if you find a job in Finland during this year, you can then apply for a residence permit for work. You should pretty much automatically get it because you have graduated from a school in Finland, and then you can then start working full time, and you have to work for a couple of years, and then you can apply for permanent residency, then work for a few years more, and learn the Finnish or Swedish language to a proficient level, and then you can apply for a citizenship. Please, however, check the actual specific process for citizenships also from the Finnish Immigration Services website. There's a lot of details there. Then Haralabis saying, thanks for answering. Haven't understood. Can you have a bachelor's and let's say Finnish history, and then get a master's at education and become a teacher, or do you have to have a bachelor's in education as well? Hara, this is a good question. I'm not 100% sure because the Finnish education system is highly regulated. As a general rule of thumb, you need to have a accredited degree from Finland in education in order to become a teacher in Finnish public schools, because in Finnish public schools we have education in Finnish or Swedish. By law, Finnish nationals have to get their education in their own native tongue, which is either Finnish or Swedish. So you cannot become a teacher in Finnish public schools if you do not speak Finnish. You also have to have a eligible master's degree in education, and the education system in Finland is very heavily regulated. So please contact. What I would recommend you to do is to contact the Finnish. Let's see. The Finnish let's see, the trade union for teachers in Finland, OAJ. Please contact them. You can, if you go to their website, you should be able to find here, contact us here at the bottom. So that's if you just Google Finnish teacher trade union, OAJ here, you can then contact these guys, and they will be able to help you with the more specific information, because these are the union representing all professional teachers in Finland. They will have the exact answer for you. Again, this is the field is heavily regulated, and I only know the very basics of it. So please contact them for more details. Awesome. Lakshiri Silva asking, is there a maximum age limit for to enrolling or applying for a bachelor's program? No, there is not. Finnish people apply for bachelors all the time. For example, many people who have already many years of experience in their own field completely re-educate themselves by reapplying to university to take another to get another degree. So nope, there's no age limit there whatsoever. Then the next question is comes from Srinivas, who comes from India. Is applying to do a master's in computer sciences, and the question is, when can I expect entries for 2022 in studyinfo.fi? So studyinfo.fi, if you do not know, excuse me, studyinfo.fi is the official website run by the Finnish Ministry of Education, and this is also the website through which you apply to all higher education. So from here, how to apply for bachelor's and master's, and then you will have all the information about the actual application process. And for example, here you will have information about the application process for 2022 once they update the page. Usually the information for the next year's applications are updated in September or October, so not in August. It's too early for that, but usually either somewhere in between September and October. There's a slight delay, as I've understood it, this year because of COVID and the current situation, so just be patient. It will come, and you will have enough time to take care of all the needed exams and everything else during and after the application process. So do note that the Finnish university application processes do take into account that not all people graduate before the deadline of applying. So you can actually graduate from your previous degree even after the application deadline, but there's still a strict deadline for when you have to have your degree certificate and a copy of that sent to the Finnish university. However, those deadlines are always specific to different universities, so please make sure to check the information from the university websites. Yes, Finland is Muslim friendly, absolutely. Every single country has D-bags everywhere. However, Finland is a very multicultural country, and yes, we're definitely Muslim friendly. As long as you're also friendly to the local cultures, it's also always the same. You need to be able to at least to some extent, integrate into the Finnish society. As long as you do that, we do not care what kind of background you have, socially or for example in terms of your religion. There you go. Jetkot is saying, yes, Finland is a secular and religiously tolerant country. There you go. I could not have said this better myself. Then the next question comes from Nicholas, who comes from Malta. What's up? Welcome back to the stream. And Nicholas is starting school this semester, doing his master's in Helsinki in ecology and evolutionary biology. And the question is, hi Oliver, I have finally moved to Finland. Awesome! Welcome to Helsinki, welcome to Finland. And it exceeded all expectations. Kiitos for all the help. Now that I'm here, how can I go about making friends now that I'm here? Get in contact with your tutor at the University of Helsinki and try to get in contact with your tutor group or your starting international group that you have, and start roaming around the city together with these people. Also send me a DM on Discord. I will let's chat, so do that after the stream. But yeah, when the university semester starts, be as active in the local student community as possible. Go to parties if that's something that we can do, taking into account the restrictions and the COVID situation here. But be as active in the local student community and different student organization and events as possible, as long as you abide by the rules and restrictions. However, again, that's the best way for you to make friends in Finland as a new student. Just, jump into the student experience that we have in Finland. It's going to be absolutely awesome, especially at the University of Helsinki. It's the oldest university in Finland. I think it's the oldest. It might be that the University of Turku is somewhere close, but the University of Finland is over 100 years old. They have a huge amount of history and cultural, things that are absolutely awesome. And you're just going to love the student culture and experience in Finland. It's completely different from Malta, and you're going to enjoy it. But yeah, so jump into the student culture and get to know the local students that way. And also send me a DM on Discord, and we can chat there. Then we have the next question coming from Amane from Morocco, and Amane is already in Finland, studying automation engineering. And the question is, sup man, how you doing? Sup to yourself. I'm doing pretty good. How are you? Can you recommend some good Finnish websites to buy laptops? I just arrived in Finland and I need to buy a laptop with less expensive shipping. That's why I need a local website where I can find laptops and stuff. Sure, I can. But the one thing that I would recommend you to take into account is that most of the laptops that you buy off shelf in Finland come with a Finnish keyboard. So please make sure if you buy a laptop from Finland is that you actually buy one with an international keyboard, because if not, you're going to be completely screwed, because the Finnish keyboard has a Finnish alphabet, which is completely unique, and we have these really weird letters that you can only find in the Nordic languages, and it's going to be you're going to feel sorry for yourself if you buy a Finnish keyboard. So make sure to get an English language keyboard for a laptop, especially because you cannot replace it afterwards. So what I would recommend you to do is actually not buy a computer online, but rather actually go to verkkokauppa.com. It's the best electronics store in Finland, hands-on, not sponsored. I go there almost every day. Everything that I have here in the studio has been bought there. It's perfect, and they have the best prices in Finland as well. So verkkokauppa.com. Unfortunately, their website is not in in English, if I remember correctly. Yeah, but what you can actually do is go to Google Maps, and if you look at the map of Helsinki, so here's downtown. Here's downtown. Here's the main railway station. Here, Verkkokauppa is located here. So if you actually for example, go to the main railway station, you can actually take just one tram connection and go all the way to the Verkkokauppa here. And you can just search it for verkkokauppa.com. And that's the store that I would recommend you to go to. It might be that they don't have English or international keyboard laptops on the shelf. Before you go there, I would recommend you to go to verkkokauppa.com website, and then from here, bottom corner, you cannot see it because it's the screen is a bit weird, but there's a chat, live chat, and during the office hours, just click here, the blue button here, chat, and just say here, for example, do you have any international keyboard laptops available, or do I need to order one from the main storage or main offices? And they will be able to help you. Verkkokauppa has an absolutely incredible customer service, and again, prices are really, really good. Also, this is actually taking it back for one more second, to everyone living in the capital region. If you need any kind of electronics whatsoever, electric plugs, charging cables, phones, headphones, whatever. I always recommend Verkkokauppa. It's the place where I go to, not only because they have the cheapest prices, but because they also have the biggest selection as well. So just, as an insider tip for everyone. Then the next question, Flossie Nakata asking, hey Oliver, planning to apply for a master's in finance next year at the University of Vaasa. How is the university? You have never mentioned it. It's absolutely awesome. Vaasa is a real student city. Or the city of Vaasa is basically just, it's one of the best student or university cities in Finland. And for finance specifically, it's a great school. It's absolutely incredible. As of course, every single university in Finland is great, and I usually refer Aalto University and the University of Helsinki first of all, because I've studied at Aalto. I have 8 years of experience there, so it's easy to refer. And the University of Helsinki is also super easy to refer because it's the best university. It's the best research university in Finland. However, University of Turku, University of Vaasa, University of Lappeenranta, University of Oulu, University of Tampere, all great universities, as well as then the Universities of Applied Sciences. There is not a single university in Finland that I would not recommend, as long as they have a program that you're interested in. However, in terms of Vaasa specifically, it's a great school. I have a bunch of friends who have gone there. Not only is the student experience there awesome, because it's a great university city, but also we actually our family has, my dad has an old friend who he has known basically his whole life. He went to Vaasa to study his degree in business, majored in finance, and nowadays he's working in New York as I can't name him specifically, but he's basically in a C-level position in the equity business in a very, very big international bank. So he has done pretty well for himself. So if he's able to do that with a degree from Vaasa, I'm sure you can do as well. Again, in Finland, the school that you go to, it does not matter that much. Mostly people especially Finnish students, most Finnish students select their schools based on the city and the student culture. And of course, then Aalto University and University of Helsinki, mostly, those are chosen because they are on paper the best. But on top of these, there is not really... the rankings don't really matter to Finnish students. We basically prefer we usually look at the city, what kind of a city it is, what kind of student activities they have, and of course the programs that they have offered there as well. But yeah, Vaasa, very, very good school. You're going to be absolutely happy there if you get admitted. Highly appreciate, highly recommended, absolutely. Then the next question comes from Peter from Peru, and Peter is still in high school, regular on the channel, which I appreciate. Peter is applying for a bachelor's in engineering or chemistry at the Aalto University, and the question is, how can I know what the exam is like and what kind of questions are being asked in the university selection exam in Finland? So in Aalto University, at Aalto University, if I remember correctly, the bachelor's in engineering doesn't have any kind of an entrance exam. However, some schools do have entrance exams for international students, and there's basically no way for you to know what kind of questions they ask. The exams change every single year, and most of the universities do not publicize previous year's exams online, so there's no way for you to know. Some do, some don't, but the most of these schools do not publicize this information. So yeah, there's no way to know. But of course, if you are applying for a bachelor's, then you would assume that the things asked in the exam are based on high school curriculum, and mostly on topics that are relevant for your degree. For example, in chemistry, most likely they will have something about chemistry or mathematics or physics or whatever. However, again, at Aalto University in engineering and chemistry, I don't think they have an entrance exam. Rather, they have the SATs. There. All right, cool. Yusuf saying 1 hour 55 minutes and still waiting for my answer. Yusuf, if you have posted your question into the form, most likely it is there somewhere. However, do note that whether or not I'm able to answer your question is dependent on when you have posted your question. There's been a record amount of questions coming into the form, so there's still actually 27 questions left in the form, so I can't know whether it's there or not. Do note that I have already gone through over 40 or so questions today, plus questions in the chat. So if I'm simply not able to go through everything, on time, especially if people post this many questions. Today we got over 60 questions in total into the form. If you think about 60 questions, I take, for example, 2 minutes per question on average. That's already 120 minutes for 60 questions. However, usually I take even more time answering the questions, so it's simply not possible for me to go physically through all of these questions in all of the time. If you want to make sure, and this applies to everyone, if you want to make sure that your question is answered during the live stream, please post your question into the form on time. And the best way for you to do this is that in the Discord channel, I can actually show you this. No, actually, never mind. I will not show you this. In the Discord channel, I actually post the link to the form always a bit ahead of time before the stream, so that early birds can come in and post their questions into the form, just to make sure that they are answered as early as possible. The channel is growing really, really rapidly. I'm simply not able to go through all questions, and it's very hard to keep up with everything. I'm trying to bring everyone as much value as possible. So if you want to get your question answered early, please be early as well. It's nothing I can do. I go through these one by one in the order that they come in, and I never skip a question unless they are something super rude or defamatory. I've never skipped a single question in the form. Nowadays, I also go into the comments every now and then if there's any good questions there, for example, relating to previous questions from the form. But that's just how it works. It's pure math. It's pure math in this case. Cyberlava asking, did you answer those from last week? Yeah, I went through the question from last week already, like 2 hours ago. Already in the previous stream that we did today, which crashed after an hour. So if you had a question from last week left, please go to the channel and check out the failed stream that we started with, that went on for an hour, because I answered all the questions from last week already within that hour. Having said that, thank you so much for everyone's great questions for today. Of course, if you're getting some value out of the stream, I would really appreciate if you could gently tap the like button. We have gone in total today for 3 hours, 1 hour in the failed stream, and then 2 hours now. And of course, you know, I appreciate you guys hanging out this long of a time. Thank you very much for all the great questions, and I will see you again next week.